God is saying, do not be afraid, for your enemies will come to nothing. Do not fear or do not be discouraged. God is going to come through for you. No matter what the situation is, if it's dealing with you feeling like you have a whole lot of people coming up against you, you have a whole lot of people misunderstanding you, you feel like your enemies are on your heels, you feel like your enemies are getting away with something, you feel like your enemies are winning or they're not getting justice, God is saying, do not be afraid, for your enemies will come to nothing. Do not fear and do not be discouraged. If you're feeling some type of way about God performing certain miracles in your life or certain promises and things coming to pass, please know and understand, God is saying, do not fear and do not be discouraged, because He is going to come through for you. And I have some scriptures. If I'm looking down, I'm reading. So Deuteronomy 31, the New Living Translation, in verse 6 says, so be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid and do not panic before them. For the Lord your God will personally go ahead of you, and He will neither fail you nor abandon you. And it goes down in verse 8 and says the same thing. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord will personally go ahead of you, and He will neither fail you or abandon you. So what is God saying? Do not panic, do not fret before anyone who tries to make you feel threatened. Before the enemy himself, before the devil himself, to try to make you feel like you are not going to walk in your promises, like all things are going to fail, like you're going to be stuck, like you're going to die in the place that you're in, like you're never going to get out. God is saying, do not panic. Your enemies coming on your heel, making you feel like they're going to try to do things to destroy you or distract you or take you off your path or do things to try to keep you stuck. God is saying, do not panic before them. Do not be afraid, because your enemies will come to nothing. God said He's already gone ahead of you. He said, I will personally go ahead of you. Meaning, I'm not going to send my angels. I'm not going to send anyone to go before me. No, God is saying, God will go before you personally and make your path straight and make your way made and get rid of any enemy or any obstacle or any evil things on your path. And I have another scripture. It's Isaiah 41, 9 through 13. NLT, New Living Translation. It says, I have called you back from the ends of the earth, saying, you are my servant, for I have chosen you and will not throw you away. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand. And it goes further on to say, see, all your enemies lie there, confused and humiliated. Anyone who opposes you will die and will come to nothing. You will look in vain for those who try to conquer you. Those who attack you will come to nothing. For I hold you by your right hand. I, the Lord your God, And I say to you, don't be afraid. I am here to help you. Now, how clear can God get? He is letting you know He is taking you up from the dead place. He is taking you up out of the place where your enemies lie. Where your enemies are sitting there waiting for you to fall, waiting for you to fail, waiting for sickness and death and plagues and famine to fall upon you. They're waiting like vultures. But what God is saying is that will be their demise. They will fall into their own demise. It will not be you. You do not have to be afraid. You do not have to feel discouraged. As I said, don't be afraid, because your enemies will come to nothing. God says, I will help you. I will strengthen you. I will hold you up with my victorious hand, which means you've already won. If you're connected to God, you've already won. God is already victorious. God has already defeated the enemy. So what more do you have to worry about? What more do you have to be concerned about? How much more do you need to fear? For 2 Timothy 1:7 says, do not fear. We do not have the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. God has not given us the spirit of fear or timidity. So why are we afraid? Why are we so timid? Why do we not know for sure in our mind, heart, and spirit that God will rescue us from the hands of the enemy, from the hands of our enemies, from the hands of the pharaohs? The pharaohs shall drown. God shall part the Red Sea. He shall part the Red Sea and make a way for you. While you exit your wilderness, God has already went ahead of you, and the way has been made. And as you go forth, there will be no trace of you left behind, and any enemy that follows you shall drown and be swallowed up. God says anybody who opposes you will die. How direct can that be? How direct can it be? And it also says they shall come to nothing. Anyone who opposes you will literally die. You are looking in vain. It is in vain that you are looking for the people who tried to conquer you and attack you. It is in vain for you to even be thinking that they are anywhere near you, that they even have any rights, any way, any authority, or even the audacity to think that they can attack you. Because God has already warned them. And that's why all their plots and plans are failing. All their schemes are failing. And they're laid dormant, confused, and humiliated because the things that they tried, the witchcraft that they tried, the spells, the hexes, the black magic, the death spells, the destiny transfer attempts, it didn't work. The abuse, the ways they try to humiliate you, the ways they try to embarrass you, the bad things that they said about you, the way they tore you down in every way possibly, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and in some cases, physically, people have attacked you. And God said, you think that these people will live? You think that these people, you're looking for them. Why? I have removed them, and I am dealing with them, and my wrath has come upon them. They feel confused and humiliated because they thought they were getting away with it. There's things that people have done to you years ago that they're just like, oh, I've already paid the price. But God said, no. That season, you paid the price for your own personal sins, but for what you did to my daughter, what you did to my son, what you did to my child, now is your season to pay. While I am elevating my chosen ones, every enemy that has ever been connected to us will now be in their season of reaping their harvest of wrath, while we reap our harvest of blessings. God said, I'm holding you by your right hand, and I will help you personally. God is saying he will personally help you. How much more personal can it get? He will personally help you. He's holding you by your right hand. That's why he says, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing, or whatever. Because God is about to pull you out of that situation. That situation is making you feel like you're stuck. How am I going to get out? God, it feels like I'm just going to die here. God, it feels like I'm never going to get out of this situation. It's God is saying, do not be afraid, for your enemies shall come to nothing. For everything opposing you shall come to nothing. For everything discouraging you, even in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit, it shall come to nothing. You are worried for nothing. And it literally makes me want to cry, guys. Because we're worried for nothing. When God has already taken care of it. He said, I have already gone before you. I know it's hard. I know you're sad. I know it's hurting. I know it's painful. I know the process was so strenuous. But if God said this is your time, then this is your time. And you have to depend on God to know that he is your God and he will save you. He will not let you drown. Your pharaohs will drown. Your enemies will drown. But you will not drown. You will get over to dry land. You will cross the Jordan. You will get to the other side. It's looking so murky and so cloudy and so hopeless. But God is saying, you're not hearing anything because I'm working. I've already gone before you. So if you're waiting on something, you're waiting for that phone call, you're waiting for that approval, you're waiting for that yes, you're waiting for that door to open. The door is already open. God is saying, I've already gone ahead of you. You are going to be approved for what you're waiting for. You're going to be approved for that apartment. You're going to be approved for that home. You're going to be approved for that loan. The money is going to come. It is going to come randomly. It's already on the way. There's people whose minds and hearts God has whispered to, and they are already making collections and getting ready to send you something via Cash App or PayPal. I know it sounds cliche and it sounds like prosperity preaching, but it is not. Many of us are suffering. Many of us have been in the wilderness. Many of us are lacking, and many of us are coming out to a better place, to a brighter place, to a higher level. And it's going to be the hardest. It's going to feel like you're digging and digging and digging and digging and digging and digging and digging, because you're trying to get to that gold. You're trying to get to the other side. You're trying to get through that tunnel. And God is saying, you're going to come out of the darkness. You're going to come out of the darkness. I know that it feels dark. I know. But God is going to bring you out. Do not be afraid, for your enemies will come to nothing. Do not fear and do not be discouraged, because God has already gone ahead of you, and he is going to hold you up. He is going to bring you out.